Thank you very much, Mark. Possibly you know us, we from GTZ, we are working on behalf of the German government and for others on technical assistance projects in developing countries. So also my presentation is mostly dealing with those issues. Here in this presentation we are only talking about public or let's say urban transport. Tackling climate change, as we all know in the transport sector, is pretty difficult since emissions are from millions of small decentralized sources and are the results of decisions, transport choice decisions that billions of people make every day. So it's, as we know, pretty difficult. This is a photo from the World Bank office in Beijing. And the question is really, is this the inevitable future? And later in this presentation, we will come back on this. Here, the Bali roadmap targets go out from the fact that the reduction should be achieved by 25 to 40% CO2 reduction by 2020, while on the other hand, the IEA projects a very considerable increase over the next 20, 30 years. So this gap clearly indicates that previous policies, which mainly dealt and focused on improving vehicle technology and fuel quality, will by far not be sufficient to break this trend. So we have to look into other possibilities. This requires possibly a combination of measures and policies instruments which address transport demand in a very comprehensive manner. So three basic routes, we all know them, which is reduce, shift, improve. These are the major areas to tackle the transport explosion, let's say it that way. And I'm pretty quickly going through some of the slides because of time limitations. The toolbox of instruments are planning, regulatory, economic instruments, information and technological instruments, while we here want to concentrate only on two or three, which is transport integration, transport demand management and capacity building. This, as we are a technical assistance enterprise, we are concentrating more on the less capital intensive instruments, and also we know from the discussion we had this morning in the other session that very often priority so far has been given to expensive way to deal with transport demand, such as extending road networks, flyovers, building more and more roads in urban areas, and to invest in expensive metros, which cost in the average per kilometer 50 to 100 million euro meanwhile. So here we can see the CO2 equivalents in gram per passenger kilometers, and also from this chart it is very obvious that mainly dealing with vehicle and fuel related improvements, substantial overall emission reductions cannot be achieved. Transport demand management, of course, shall reduce the total volume of traffic and promote shifts towards more sustainable modes of transport. The various instruments in transport demand management, of course, have to work hand in hand and shall not be just implemented in an isolated way. So a road charging system somewhere without proper regulatory means and parking management and so on will also lead to nowhere. So this is very important to operate in a very comprehensive manner. Here, this is a photo from a northern city in Germany. It's from Düsseldorf. It's the same corridor, the same number of passengers, and so far from dealing with transport demand management, there is one lesson we all have learned, that there is no possibility to build a way out of congestion. So we have to really look into demand restricting measures. I follow what Ralph said before. Some transport demand management measures here from Hong Kong, from Curitiba in Brazil, both being very successful on dealing with demand. One of the TDM instruments I wanted to come back to is the international fuel prices. We at GTZ, we do a biannual survey worldwide, cover 170 countries, so the next survey will be in November 2008. Out there you will see some flyers about this project, as well as on the transport and climate work we are doing, and as well on the Sustainable Urban Transport Project, the project which deals exclusively with sustainable urban transport. Why fuel taxation? Or we can also say vehicle taxation. You know, there are various other means of taxing vehicles. It has direct and indirect impact on many different areas, such as speed, eco-driving, efficiency of vehicles, replacement, and so on. Let's look now, coming to some examples of developing cities. Let's look into Indonesia, where there are very high fuel subsidies this year, amounting to approximately 14 billion US dollar, in contrast to last year, where it has been about 6 billion. So 14 billion, that is more than health and education sector combined in Indonesia, just as subsidies. We can see that, and this is this brownish color, that public transport, even for lower income groups, is less than 10%. And they're all using their two-wheelers, pretty cheap, $1,000 per small motorbike, and then with a subsidized fuel of about 40 cents per liter, it will make it. And very often then this is even cheaper than using the bus. And public transport, by the way, is not so very well established in Indonesia. I will not come to this one. It just should show that, for example, in Singapore and in Shanghai, there is a bidding system, so that new registered vehicles need to be paid to get a license, and at this time it is about 40,000 yuan, 4,000 euro to get a vehicle registered in Shanghai. Singapore, I will not come into details, has a very comprehensive approach to TDM, very good combination of various pricing instruments together with the provision of an excellent public transport system. Especially this ERP system, the road charging system, is well elaborated. Also, and this is part of this integrated policy, getting a new vehicle registered costs about triple as much as the open market value. So 90,000 against 30,000 of the open market value. And we can see it also with a Honda Civic sedan in the price differences from various countries. In the US, it's the cheapest with 21,000 US dollar, and in Singapore already $77,000 to get, sorry, Singapore dollars, I have to say. Those are all in Singapore dollars. So it costs more than 3 times as much in Singapore to get your car registered. The second, besides GDM, important measure we are dealing with when we are working in developing countries is public transport integration. This is really something which is missing in developing countries. In contrast to Europe, where transport associations exist and tariff integration is applied since decades, exactly since 1965, in developing countries, public transport is underdeveloped, not attractive enough for customers. People cannot use the same ticket to switch from one to the other mode of public transport. Often they need 2 to 4 tickets per trip and per direction to get to their work. And in addition, there often exist standalone systems such as in Bangkok, Manila, Kuala Lumpur, where each rail and bus thing is unintegrated. So this is I predict the challenge for the future for our work and other international institutions working in developing countries. We should more concentrate on public transport integration. It's a challenge during coming years to considerably increase the attractiveness of public transport. In Sao Paulo, for example, they started already with this Interligado, which is a first attempt, but it's not yet a full integration. Also Santiago has started with, but in all other countries, tell me one city in Asia where the full integration, the fair integration works. I don't know even one. Nothing successfully is possible without a clear leadership, and we know that, and also we had a discussion this morning, leadership normally by the mayor in a municipality or the traffic or the transport commission is very important. Some of the examples are well known, such as the example of Bogota, for example. Third point I wanted to quickly mention is we are concentrating also on capacity building, training, awareness building, and we have created a project on sustainable urban transport. Flyers are over there. We are working in Latin America and in Asia on this, and are having about 26 modules, all dealing with urban transport questions. The last one, which has been published, is on transport and climate. It's also available as hard copies outside. Otherwise, send us an email and we will send it to you. Please also have a look on our webpage. It's exclusively dealing with sustainable urban transport issues in 3 languages at this time, Spanish, English, and Chinese. We have our own Chinese webpage, and therefore, please feel free to contact us if you need any more information. Thank you very much.